Mark, sometimes you don't need analytical data to tell you the story. Just look at the situation, find the trend, and make the decision.
Tyler Boyd's dip in production last year better correlates with Andy Dalton being off the field than it does with A.J. Green being off the field, despite public perception.
You can't watch just highlight film because highlight film only shows the good things. Watch the player's actual game tape because you see the good and the bad.
In 7 games in 2018, where all 3 starting Rams receivers were healthy, Brandon Cooks led the trio in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and total PPR points by a considerable margin.
It's a beautiful day for football. Welcome into the RotoBros Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Chris McConnell.
I'm Mark Wemken.
And we, as always, are the RotoBros. Mark, hey, we are going into the fabulous Week 7. We're almost at the halfway point of the season. We had a pretty entertaining Week 6. We got a lot to talk about on the docket today. Before we get to everything, though, everybody's got to know, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mark Wemken. That's MarkWemken. You're also going to find me every week at thequantedge.com, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday Snaps and Targets Report. It's already submitted, guys. That's the most important piece of information that I put out every week, and it's completely free. You don't need a subscription to read it, so make sure you guys are checking that out.
You can find me on Twitter at Mind of McConnell, and as always, you can find both Mark and myself on Facebook at the group FSA Fantasy Sports Advice and Analysis, the home of the official podcast of FSA. So we're going to be there all year long, so you can get a lot of our stuff there as well. You can interact with us on the daily. So definitely check that out. Go to Facebook, type in FSA Fantasy, and you'll be a part of the largest, most active fantasy sports community on the planet. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. Okay, so Mark, how did your Week 6 go, man? How did everything go for you? You have any bad luck? Have any injuries? You win some money?
Bruh. All right. If you're listening to this, show of hands, how many of you were personally victimized by Amari Cooper's bruised thigh on Sunday? Because myself and everyone in the Discord chat is raising their hands right now. Oh, God, That injury killed my DFS lineups. I had like 60% Amari Cooper and Dak stacks, and just, oh, man. I lost so much money. I'm poor.
Yeah, it's been, it was definitely rough for a lot of people. Fortunately for me, like, I have never had, I've been playing fantasy for 15, 16 years now. I have never, and I cannot remember a season where I have not been hit by the injury bug. Where I've been so lucky to have not been hit by the injury bug like 2019. Like all my teams thus far, even my dynasty teams, my redraft teams, there's almost no injuries to be found. I'm dodging it left and right. So of course, 3 of my players on 10 of my teams are going to be tearing their Achilles this weekend. But let's move on to some issues, Mark, that we got to get to. We got to get ready for Week 7. But first, we got to recap some of the things that happened during a wild Week 6. Now, you mentioned one of the biggest stories. You mentioned Amari Cooper's injury. He does have a bruised thigh. He currently is day to day, but right now he is very questionable for Week 7. So that is definitely something that you guys are going to want to look out for.
This is a significant injury for Dallas's passing game. Last year, you take him off the field for Dallas. Dallas was averaging 7.1 yards per attempt. You add Amari Cooper to the mix. They trade for Amari Cooper. After that trade, they were averaging 7.9 yards per attempt. Passing success rate is 11% higher with Cooper on the field in 2018. It's a really small sample of no Amari Cooper in 2019. It's almost irrelevant, but he is very, very important to that team, just like Michael Gallup is. So this is, if he can't go, I haven't even looked at the matchups yet, but I don't think Dak Prescott is going to be startable in fantasy.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that. Unless you're outside of 2 QB or Superflex, in one quarterback leagues, Dak Prescott, I agree with you, is not going to be startable at all. And this gives a little bit, you mentioned Michael Gallup, this gives a bit of a boost, I think, to Michael Gallup, but people need to remember, he's only in his second year. He is nowhere close to not only the type of receiver, but is as seasoned of a receiver from even a route running standpoint that Amari Cooper is. So just because he's going to be, some of his snaps may increase a little bit, because some of his targets may increase a little bit if Amari misses some time or a week or two, I don't think that really does a whole lot to Michael Gallup, to be honest with you.
They're playing the Eagles at home, man. 49.5 over under. They're 3-point favorites right now. That's
a sexy
Ayatollah.
position.
That is the Ayatollah of wide receiver matchups. And if I don't have Amari Cooper for that matchup, I'm going to be very upset. But you can't sit Michael Gallup in that matchup. Yeah. You can't do it. Not against the Eagles, man.
Another big player that will be taking a seat for the rest of the season, unfortunately, and back-to-back seasons with season-ending injuries for Seahawks tight end Will Dissly. He finishes the weekend with a torn Achilles. So a guy that has you really kind of root for. He's not like an elite tight end. He's not a special talent of any kind. But my God, he was targeted. I mean, I believe he led the team in targets in the red zone before his injury. And he was a guy that a lot of people thought that was really hurting DK Metcalf's targets in the red zone. And while I think that there is some truth to that as well, this is a pretty big loss, you would think, for the Seahawks. Now, Luke Wilson's going to step in, but Luke Wilson is not the receiver that even Will Dissly is. He's more of that backup tight end that comes in and is just mainly a blocker. So you don't need to go. Yeah. You don't need to go adding Luke Wilson in all of your leagues or make him your number one waiver priority or spend a bunch of fab on him.
No, but I do think you're going to see a significant uptick in targets for Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
Oh, now, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, listen. Normally, I'm a guy that likes to go and look at ADOT. When a pass catcher goes down, I look at the player's ADOT on the team, and I'm like, all right, these two have similar ADOTs. This is the guy that could see an uptick in usage. Here's the thing with Will Dissly is he was seeing targets all over the field. So using the TQE injury impact tool, I was able to take Will Dissly off the field and see what receivers have gotten targeted. Tyler Lockett's target share increases by about 3%. DK Metcalf's target share with Will Dissly off the field goes from 11.5% to 25%. This is huge for DK Metcalf, at least on the surface, because I really don't think Luke Wilson's going to step in and command 6, 7, 8 targets a game like Will Dissly was. And I don't think Will Dissly's an elite talent. I just think he was a scheme fit for this offense.
Oh yeah, he's very, very good for this offense.
You know what this could also mean though, is I think we could see an uptick in target share for Chris Carson. His target share with and without Will Dissly is about the same. But I just think we might be able to see more of that underneath stuff that we weren't necessarily seeing before. Running back target share with Will Dissly off the field does increase by about 5%. So we'll see where this goes.
And if Chris Carson wasn't already a 2019 RotoBros darling, I mean it increases even more. So, but we promise this show is not going to be geared in any way toward Chris Carson. But he gets his weekly mention, I think, and I think he deserves it. Another injury that really scared a lot of people, but looks like we're completely out of harm's way here, is Emmanuel Sanders. He did leave the game with a knee injury. It was not expected to be serious, and it's not just today. He practiced in full. So he's going to be out there Thursday night in a tasty matchup against the Chiefs. Unfortunately for Emmanuel Sanders, his quarterback is still Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco is really only able to support one fantasy relevant wide receiver, and lately it has turned into Cortland Sutton after the first 2-3 weeks that Emmanuel Sanders had. So perhaps Emmanuel Sanders owners, there's going to be a couple leagues where I have to start him, Mark. Like I have him in a dynasty league, and my receivers aren't great, especially with Deshaun Jackson out. So I'm one of those people. I have to start Emmanuel Sanders. So I'm really hoping that he does something this week because that offense needs him, number one. Joe Flacco needs him, and his fantasy owners, we need him.
Cortland Sutton's the number one. I mean, over the last 3 weeks, Emmanuel Sanders has only commanded a 15% target share, 23% of the air yards market. He's trailing Cortland Sutton in weighted opportunity by 30 points.
Yeah, I'm going to bow to that. I'm ready to bow down to that. Yeah. Cortland Sutton is the number one wide receiver. There's no question about it.
This is Cortland Sutton's offense. And Emmanuel Sanders, I think just at his age, coming off an Achilles, maybe we jumped the gun on those victory laps just a little early. I took an L on Emmanuel Sanders in week 2. And I'm just starting to think like, okay, maybe my process on Sanders wasn't so bad. I mean, the thing is when he's been on the field, he's not getting targeted anymore.
Yeah.
It's like he's slowing down already.
Yeah. And it's odd what's going on out there. I mean, I know they're definitely trying to get Noah Fant, more involved as well. Their rookie tight end. Look, I get that. That's fine. I don't think it's a case of Emmanuel. I think a lot of people will point to Emmanuel Sanders' age. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think I personally don't. I think that it is mainly Joe Flacco. But hey, for all you Sanders owners, that
doesn't explain Cortland Sutton though. Like Cortland Sutton is out here eating. He's seen 24 targets, 251 air yards, 55 PPR points over the last 3 games.
Well, he's turned it on. There's just no doubt. He's younger. Yeah. He's turned it on, and they're probably also making it a point to get their bigger receiver the football, and I can't really blame him.
Bigger receiver or better receiver?
I don't think he's as good of an overall talent as Emmanuel Sanders is yet.
I think
he's getting there
now, right today, October 15th, whatever day it is. I don't know. It was my day off today. I don't even know what day it is.
It is the 15th.
It is the 15th. All right, dead on the nuts. Right now on October 15th, 2019, Cortland Sutton is a better football player. Now, that doesn't mean Emmanuel Sanders might not have some spike weeks going forward. I definitely think he's still capable of it. I think a lot of them are going to be matchup dependent, and we're going to be able to predict them.
Well,
I think his spike weeks are going to be predictable.
All may not be lost for us, Emmanuel Sanders folks. Okay,
no.
Because Emmanuel Sanders is a guy that has been in the trade rumor market here. So there's a lot of rumors about there was rumors about the Patriots. Trading for Stephon Diggs. We'll get to Stephon Diggs here in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But Emmanuel Sanders in New England? Oh, man. You're telling me Emmanuel Sanders in New England? I'd sign me up for that all day. But that's if he gets traded, which he might not. Moving on, we have a little bit more news as well. Marcus Mariota has been benched officially for Ryan Tannehill. We're going to get into that here a little bit more in depth in just a little bit, but that is official as of tonight. And also as of tonight, just about 2 hours ago, Mark, for you IDP players, the Jaguars have traded Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. They traded Marcus Peters earlier today to the Ravens, and they also placed Aqib Talib on IR. So they were hurting for some cornerback help. They're going to get the best cornerback in the entire NFL in Jalen Ramsey, and it's only going to cost them a 2020 first, a 2021 first, and a 2021 fourth. So, look, that's when you're a team that has a Super Bowl window, that's a price that you pay. Period.
If you're the Rams, okay. Here's the thing: if they had last year's offensive line, I'm behind this trade. But they have the worst offensive line in football right now, and it's not even close.
Now, I can agree with that. Now you got to go make another trade, and you know who you got to get. You got to go get Trent Williams. You got to
go get Trent Williams, but why wasn't Trent Williams the priority is my question. Like, are you telling me the defense was the reason this team didn't win against San Francisco? Because I think that's a load.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Jared Goff had like 94 passing yards in the fourth quarter because he was under duress the entire game. His pressure rate was nearly 50% in this football game. And it's like, why? I don't get it. I am all for trading for Jalen Ramsey if like you are good in other aspects. I don't even think cornerback was a top 5 necessity for the Rams right now. I think tackle, guard, center, and okay, maybe it was like 4th or 5th, but I don't understand making this trade when your quarterback is going to die if you don't get him some protection.
Yeah, there's stuff going on with the Rams offense. But hey, if you're an owner, let me tell you something right now. If you are an owner of a Rams offensive football player, you are in luck because guess who's on the schedule this week? My Atlanta Falcons. So fire up Cooper Kupp, fire up Brandon Cooks, fire them all up. Fire them all up, Mark, because they're gonna go nuts this week.
We are gonna be on Brandon Cooks in the Discord chat for DFS. I think he's gonna be a really good tournament play this week. Something else that's gonna be interesting and worth making a mental block of is with Jalen Ramsey off the field this year. The Jacksonville Jaguars have allowed 8.3 yards per attempt compared to 7 yards per attempt with him on the field. So this is going to be something worth monitoring. We might be able to target this Jacksonville defense in DFS, but we'll see how that plays out. I think it's going to depend on who they're playing and whether or not that offense can be pushed. But I don't like this move for either team right now, as good as Jalen Ramsey is.
Well, here's a move that I want to know if you are going to like or not, because as we move into our weekend's biggest takeaways, I think the story of the weekend, almost in a way, is Cam Newton's on his way back. But what does that mean for Kyle Allen? Because right now, the Panthers are winning. And Kyle Allen is playing pretty damn good right now. Now, he's not Pat Mahomes. He's not, coming in out of nowhere like Russell Wilson his rookie year. But he is doing what needs to be done for this offense. And even the opposing coach, like Bruce Arians even said, that's a tougher offense to defend with Kyle Allen.
I don't know how I feel about this just yet, because the first 2 weeks of the season and the last 4 to 6 weeks of 2018 that Cam Newton played, he wasn't healthy. Cam Newton, when he was healthy, was playing the best football of his career in 2018. So I really want to see what Cam Newton at full strength has left in the tank. But I in a sense, I am with you on Kyle Allen. 7.4 yards per attempt, 7 touchdowns, no picks. He does have quite a bit of fumbles. He's got a fumbling problem, but 106.6 passer rating. He is playing good football. He's playing good football. There's no denying.
And look, he's 5-0 as a starter. And I don't really take stats like that and say, oh, he's 5-0 as a starter, and make that the end all be all, because it's not just him. There's 10 other guys on the team on the offense. But the fact of the matter is the quarterback makes it all go. He's the trigger man. So Kyle Allen is doing something right. And what is he doing right? He's not turning the football over. And he's got 10 total touchdowns with 0 interceptions. I mean, he's 5-0 as a starter. He's completing just over 65% of his passes. And, we got to ask, it's come to the point where is a healthy Cam Newton really better than what we're seeing from this Kyle Allen? And look, I'm not naive to think that, Kyle Allen is a better overall football player than Cam Newton, and that he has a higher ceiling. He just doesn't. Now, is he a better quarterback in the sense of better managing the offense and the game and potential turnovers? Yes, than Cam Newton. And I think that is evident of what we've seen with Kyle Allen. I think 4 to 5 games now is enough evidence to that. And I think we need to really make sure that everybody understands, again, it's not like he's Pat Mahomes out there. He is winning with an excellent defense, an excellent pass rush. They've been outstanding. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's got a top 2 running back in the NFL right now behind that, in that backfield with him. So that's great.
Christian McCaffrey matters
Christian
McCaffrey's he's a wide receiver too. I don't view Christian McCaffrey as a running back. He's a wide receiver too on that team that runs the football 20 times.
Okay, exactly. And
Christian McCaffrey matters.
And you know what makes it easier, Mark? The great offensive line play they're getting with Kyle Allen right now. And not only that, again, he's being a good game manager, but everything around him, all of his surroundings are making it easier for him to be a good game manager. He's getting protected. The defense is getting to the opposing passer. They are playing all around solid defense, and he's got an excellent runner of the football and pass catcher of the football coming out of the backfield to make things easier on him. So Kyle Allen has it made right now.
Listen, we can make this very simple. If Cam Newton comes back and is 100% healthy and can run the football effectively like he did last year, through 10 weeks last year, Cam Newton led the quarterback position in rushing attempts by like a lot. By the next closest was Lamar Jackson at 27, but he had only been playing a few games. Sure. Cam Newton ran for 24 first downs, 15 carries of 10 yards or more, was averaging 3 yards after contact per carry, ran for 4 total touchdowns. His passing metrics were similar to what Kyle Allen is now. He had 17 touchdowns, 5 picks, 7.1 yards per attempt. This was all through 10 weeks last year when we knew he was healthy. The passing metrics are similar. They're very similar. Kyle Allen is only averaging 0.3 yards per attempt more than Cam Newton was through 10 weeks last year. Cam Newton brings that aspect of running, which is incredibly valuable, which you can tell based on the QBR metric over at ESPN. If Cam Newton can come back, he's 100% healthy, and he can run the football effectively like he used to be.
But here's the thing.
This is a better offense with Cam Newton. If he can't run, you need Kyle Allen.
Okay,
you need Kyle Allen.
Better offense with a higher ceiling, maybe. But I still would argue that it's more volatile with Cam Newton, because Cam, there's no doubt about it, Cam is more susceptible to making mistakes. It's just, some guys are just that way. You know what I mean? Some guys are just that way. Like if it was Jameis Winston is just more susceptible to making mistakes. And so there's volatile quarterbacks all over the league. Cam Newton has been that guy year in and year out in his career. Now, again, he's got a great ceiling, and we've seen him at his peak, and we've seen him play and do amazing things, and he can do more amazing things than Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen's not going to take over a football game. Cam Newton can, but at the same time, I don't think Kyle Allen's going to lose you the game either. Cam Newton can, and he's done it on plenty of occasions. So I do believe Ron Rivera's got a decision. Do I go back to a healthy Cam Newton, who we believe is healthy? Do we go back to a healthy Cam Newton and have that ceiling? What was it? The 2015 Panther ceiling, okay? Or do we stick with Kyle Allen and stick with what's working right now? I mean, the guy hasn't lost a game. Go on the record. What do you think Ron Rivera does? Does he bench Cam Newton?
No, he gives Cam Newton the starting job back if Cam Newton is healthy. Listen, if Cam Newton is healthy, like 100% healthy, he is good to go. This foot injury is resolved and he can run the football. That's what this offense is good at. I mean, if you're watching the Carolina offense, they're not bad. They are not playing bad football, but they are not playing at their ceiling. You do realize Kyle Allen is only second to Kirk Cousins and Gardner Minshew in fumbles this year. So he's been a little lucky with turnover variance as well. So yeah, you give the football back to Cam Newton and say, listen, if you can run. We need you to run and throw effectively because that's what this offense is good at. And if Cam Newton can't run effectively, you need to give the job back to Kyle Allen because Cam Newton cannot beat a team without his legs.
And I can agree with that. I'm going to go on the record and I'm going to say, you're right. I agree. Cam Newton will get the nod. He'll get the starting job, but he's not going to have a long leash. The leash is not, I mean, I think they give him maybe 3 or 4 games. And if it comes back to mistake prone, healthy Cam Newton or just not playing very well, unhealthy Cam Newton, it's time to pull the plug and it's time to get Kyle Allen in there because you are playing with house money right now in that division. The Falcons aren't any good. The Bucs are the Bucs. They're not making the playoffs. They're not competing for a wild card spot. It's you and the Saints. And you are in the driver's seat right now with really the Saints for that division title. So you have got all the cards right now to maybe to definitely make a playoff run and get into the playoffs with Kyle Allen. So this is not a decision that I envy Ron Rivera for here. So it's definitely going to be something that everybody wants to look out for. I don't know if I like DJ Moore or Greg Olsen more with Cam Newton or without. I think I would probably still lean a little bit more with Cam Newton. So it's probably a little bit of a boom to their stock as well. But we'll see how that plays out. But it's definitely,
as far as target share is concerned, all of these guys are neck and neck. Since Kyle Allen has taken over, Christian McCaffrey leads in target share with 22%. Curtis Samuel 21, DJ Moore 20, Greg Olsen 16. Like it's all at the top.
Yeah,
these guys. It's not a concentrated offense because there's 4 guys getting targets, but they're all getting targets distributed equally. Curtis, that's my biggest problem here is if Cam Newton takes over, I think from a fantasy perspective, things are going to get a little bit more volatile. We're going to have a difficulty projecting what DJ Moore is going to do week in and week out, what Curtis Samuel is going to do week in and week out. So this is very much a wait and see what is going to happen kind of thing with Cam Newton and Kyle Allen.
Well, we're not going to have to wait and see what's going to happen in Tennessee because we already know, as we mentioned earlier, Marcus Mariota has officially, it has finally happened. It is well overdue as far as I'm concerned, but he has finally been benched in favor of Ryan Tannehill. And look, last week he was abysmal. He had 7 completions for 63 yards through 2 picks. And Vrabel said, I've seen enough. I gotta put in Tannehill and I gotta see what I got. It's not much better. Okay. It's not much better. It's an improvement, I guess, but it's not the type of improvement of any kind that you would want to see. Look, you know my feelings on Marcus Mariota. We won't spend too much time on it. I've always believed he wouldn't be a franchise quarterback. Same thing with Jameis Winston. I didn't like either of those 2 guys coming out. And it was funny because I always said, if you were able to put Jameis Winston's physical tools and physical abilities and his ceiling and what he has the ability to do, if he applies himself with Mariota's head, I think you absolutely have a franchise quarterback. I think you have somebody almost like a Matthew Stafford, still a little bit prone to mistakes, still makes some questionable decisions, but all in all is actually a good franchise quarterback. Unfortunately, you can't put them together like that. And look, I don't think the fantasy value of the offensive unit doesn't change at all. I mean, you could argue that, okay, in Miami, Tannehill loved Jarvis in the slot. Okay, so maybe A.J. Brown, his value goes up a little bit, but it's not, even if it does, it's not going to go up to where it's like, something significant. Corey Davis isn't going to be any better or probably any worse with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, this is the same situation. The offense is still boring to watch, and it's still going to run through Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I this is a lateral move to me, and I'm more than happy to be proven wrong here. More than happy to be proven wrong just based on how much Corey Davis I have in best ball. More than happy to be proven wrong. So for me, it's just a lateral move. I'm not chasing any Corey Davis in DFS this week. He's $5K on FanDuel, which is like ridiculously cheap for the ceiling he brings, but I'm just not. I don't know. I would rather sit back and watch what Ryan Tannehill can do, because I've been watching Ryan Tannehill for years, and he's Marcus Mariota light.
Yeah.
So,
and look, Mark, this is something I say all the time. When a guy has been in the league for over 5 years, like Ryan Tannehill, take his best season, throw it out the window. Take his worst season, throw it out the window. Okay? What you have left is what that guy is. You have plenty of data. You've read the book plenty of times. That is whatever you have left is what that guy is. We know what Mariota is. We know what Tannehill is. They're pretty much the same guy. They're in that same tier of replaceable non-franchise quarterback. They'd be better off. They're not even, in my opinion, they're not even as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick. So
no, I'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick than either one. At least he can throw the ball downfield.
100%. Okay, so we don't want to spend too much time on that. We want to get to an offense that's not really boring to watch at all, and is really looks like they might be starting to turn the corner here. The Minnesota Vikings absolutely erupted this weekend, Mark. Especially Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs. Look, Stephon Diggs asked for a trade. Adam Thielen was complaining a couple weeks ago as well. He was the squeaky wheel that got the oil. This week it was Stephon Diggs, and he got it to the tune of 7 catches on 11 targets for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has now boosted his fantasy stock to wide receiver 18. Kirk Cousins was brilliant. 22 of 29, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, one interception, and he's a top 15 quarterback now. This, to me, is interesting because the running game was not working with Dalvin Cook. It was much more effective this past weekend with Alex Madison. You had your running game. You got almost 100 total yards out of your running backs. Dalvin, like we said, wasn't very effective, and maybe that's why they started to throw so much. But again, you were playing the Eagles. So, I mean, we got to kind of read into that, right?
Absolutely. Last two weeks, they've still only thrown the football at a 47% clip. Kirk Cousins has only attempted 60 passes. Now, they're completing passes. They've got a 62% passing success rate, and they're averaging 11.4 yards per attempt. Both of those are miles above league average right now. But you played the Giants, and then you played the league's worst secondary at home. So I personally cannot put too much merit into this just yet, especially as somebody who drafted Stephon Diggs well over 15 times in best ball this year. So I'm not putting a ton of weight on it, but we have learned that when this team plays a genuinely bad secondary, we can trust the Vikings to at least attack it where that team sucks. We can trust the Vikings to at least do that. But like I said, the Vikings are still, over the last 2 weeks, they still only threw the football at a 47% clip. This is still who this team wants to be. They still want to be team #establish the run. So make sure you guys keep that in mind.
Yeah, and they will. And look, this was the first time all season through 6 weeks where Kirk Cousins had back-to-back multi-touchdown games, and the first time all season where he had 300 plus passing yards in back-to-back games. So, and it came against, like you mentioned, the Giants secondary and the Eagles secondary. So I can't buy the fact, yes, this passing offense is turning the corner by Stephon Diggs. Now, I was never a proponent to sell Adam Thielen, and I was never a proponent to sell Stephon Diggs. I always said hold those two guys, and that still rings true. Even though I'm not saying, yes, this offense has turned the corner, hold on to those guys. I'm not.
I say sell them. Sell them both in redraft and then sell Adam Thielen in Dynasty. Why would you hold on to those two? Why would you hold on to these guys when their team is only passing the football 46% of the time?
Well, I still think I think Thielen is the guy that's safer. If you are even if you're in Dynasty and you are all in and you are a competing football team, sure, you can put him on the block, see what you get for him. But I think Adam Thielen is going to be pretty consistent week in and week out from a fantasy perspective. Now, obviously, Steph is going to have these weeks where he doesn't really do much. He's targeted 7 times, catches 3 passes, and it's, he's got 42 yards. So he's going to have those weeks because it's almost like this, Mark. And I've tried to explain this about the Bucs offense. You have got it's a little bit different because Kirk is getting he's getting protected a little bit better than Winston is, but it's almost like the Godwin Evans effect. In this sense, Steph is Mike Evans, okay? Godwin is Adam Thielen. You don't have to wait as long for the play to develop to get the ball to Godwin, to get the ball to Thielen. But you have to wait for the play to develop. You have to, a lot of the time, you have to have that downfield. You have to have that ability to go downfield and the openings, the windows to go downfield with guys like Steph and Evans to really give you what they're capable of giving you and that max output. So that's why I think we're seeing some of the struggles a couple weeks of the season with Evans and with guys like Evans and Diggs.
But we're using a team that's throwing the football 61% of the time and comparing it with Minnesota, who's throwing 47% of the time.
Well, sure, but the premise, what I'm saying is the premise is still the same. It doesn't matter what type of offense you're.
I don't think the premise is the same at all because I'm not selling high on Chris Godwin right now. He's a hard hold, but right now, after what Stephon Diggs just did, I think you're crazy if you don't go and try and sell Stephon Diggs for what you paid for him in a redraft.
Well, sure, and
I'm still holding in Dynasty.
Right, and I'm not comparing them in that regard. Of course, I'm not going to hold Diggs, like I'm going to hold Chris Godwin. But what I'm comparing them in the sense that Godwin and Thielen are the safety blankets that are typically running more often than not those more shallow, quick routes for the quarterback to get rid of the football quicker. So they're going to see that higher volume. Steph and Mike Evans just aren't going to. That's just not their game for the most part. So that's the only sense that I'm comparing them at. But
yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, Adam Thielen is only pacing Stephon Diggs in volume by 4 targets. It's just passing volume is at a premium on this offense, and that's why I don't want to trust these receivers in fantasy, especially Adam Thielen in Dynasty. He's going to be 30 next year. You can sell Adam Thielen high after a spike week. In redraft, you can do the same thing with Stephon Diggs. Get a premium for guys that you shouldn't be getting a premium for because people are still interested in these guys because of the ceilings they have.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all I'm saying, because they're going to piss you off more than they're going to make you happy.
Yeah, and 100% I agree. I agree with. I don't really agree with selling Adam Thielen yet because, again, even if you're in Dynasty, if you're going all in, keep the more consistent guy. But again, we always tell you guys on the show, it can't hurt to put the guy in the block and see what you can get.
No.
And of course, I'm definitely more willing to sell Steph than I am Adam because you know me, I'm a man of consistency. I want that week-to-week consistency, and I feel I can get that from Adam more than I can with Steph.
I don't think you're going to get that from either one. Adam Thielen has scored 5 touchdowns this year. Touchdown regression is going to smack him in the face as we go on in the season, and he's going to start posting these dud weeks like we've seen from Stephon Diggs. He's not going to score a touchdown a game going forward. That's not going to happen. That's all I'm saying with Adam Thielen is he is primed for per game. He hasn't been that consistent. He's only caught 26 footballs through 6 games. He has not been that consistent. He's just scoring touchdowns.
Well, right.
Touchdowns are fluky. He is going to regress in touchdown percentage, and that's why I'm saying he's a good sell high right now.
I mean, I guess I can see your point there, but again, from a standpoint of in the sense that they are a running football team now, which wide receiver is going to be more consistent? With whatever with whatever sense of the word, it's going to be Thielen. But I'm not arguing that Thielen's going to be the same Adam Thielen as always. But a wide receiver that we need to get to that is definitely not what he always has been in the past when he's been on the field is Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon, this is a guy now, Mark, when we're talking about sell highs, or not really even sell highs, we're talking about sells. There is not a guy right now in fantasy, I don't think, that I am selling at a quicker rate than I am Josh Gordon, right? And I hope none of my league mates are listening to this, because I've got Josh Gordon in a lot of leagues, because you know me, I had him as a high wide receiver 2 coming into this year, and I was like, man, so you're telling me you get your big, fast, strong outside target in Josh Gordon back, and he's healthy, and he's and he's finally seems to be behaving. You don't have Rob Gronkowski, okay? And this is an excellent thing for everything lined up for Josh Gordon, but he is falling more flat than I think even the guys that didn't like Josh Gordon thought he would.
I mean, from a fantasy perspective, Josh Gordon, no, he's not meeting expectations. But the thing with Josh Gordon is he still has a very positive effect on the Patriots offense this year.
Oh, totally.
They're still averaging 7.8 yards per attempt with him on the field, 6.23 with him off. Explosive pass rate is about the same, but their passing success rate is 52% with him on and 38.5% with him off. So he still has a massive impact on this offense, whether he's getting peppered with targets or not. So yeah. I think the Patriots are getting out of him exactly what they wanted to get out of him. It's just, I don't think they ever intended to feature him the way we kind of hoped.
Yeah, and fantasy owners definitely are not getting anything close to what they thought they were getting. He is wide receiver 49 right now through 6 games. And to me, it's not only, it's flat out not only time to panic, but it's time to give up and sell every single share that you have. The honeymoon is over. Mark, we married Josh Gordon in the offseason because it was sort of, the last couple of years, it's been an on and off relationship with all of us and Josh Gordon. It's been on and off, on and off. There were some good times. There were some bad times, on and off. And then he matured. He got his act together. And then we kind of rekindled that relationship, and we thought to ourselves, okay, well, this is it. This is it. Everything's lined up. They've matured. They're behaving. Everything's fine. And we go on the honeymoon now through 6 weeks, and we just caught him in bed with another person on the honeymoon. And now, so it's time to break up. It's time to go ahead and get that quick divorce. Look, the guy's got 1 game with double-digit targets, 1 game with a touchdown. He had 1 target last week against the New York Giants, and that was for 7 yards. I mean,
listen. Through the rest of the season, he's going to get the Jets again. He gets the Ravens. He gets the Eagles, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Dolphins. Like, now is not the time to be selling Josh Gordon. Now is the time 100%. To be putting Josh Gordon on his bench. You're not selling Josh Gordon at wide receiver 49. Put him on your bench.
Can't disagree with you more. Can't disagree, because
what are you going to get for Josh Gordon right now? What are you going to get for the wide receiver 49? Why would you sell him?
You're just going to get a bench piece. You can't get anything quality for him, but it's only going to get worse, and I'm going to tell you why. Look, this is a guy that has already played the Dolphins, the Jets, the Redskins, and the Giants, and he has not been able to take advantage of it. He played the Dolphins with Antonio.
He played the Dolphins with Antonio Brown on the field. He's been banged up for a couple of weeks now. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's going to break out. I'm just saying you can't get anything for him now anyway. So why wouldn't you just stash him on your bench and say, hey, you know what? The Patriots are playing some offenses that are going to push him. They're playing some offenses that are going to get beaten deep in that game, especially with Philip Dorsett's injury now. Just put him on your bench. You can't play him. You cannot play him, but I don't understand selling him right now when you're not going to get anything for him.
Because it's about to get even harder to sell him when you're not going to be able to sell him in just a little bit, because you're about to have N'Keal Harry, who just got activated and is actively practicing. N'Keal Harry's going to be active this week. He's going to be playing football, and that's another body that Josh Gordon is going to have to compete with, and he hasn't been able to do anything with Edelman, with this terrible tight end core that they're working with. Who else? Philip Dorsett. I mean, Jacoby Myers. I mean, this is not good that N'Keal Harry is coming back now. And look, I'm not a N'Keal Harry guy. I was not big on N'Keal Harry. I didn't understand the love coming out of college. I just didn't. And I know I was in the
I'm sorry.
minority.
I thought you were a tape guy. How do you not like N'Keal Harry?
I did not like his tape. And I was alone.
He's one of the only receivers I watched. He's one of the only receivers tapes that I watched coming into the draft. And his film pops. At least to me. We can agree to disagree. We can talk about this on a Dynasty podcast, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying with N'Keal Harry, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I think he's still going to be an 80%, a 70 or 80% snap share guy on this team. He's still seen 36 targets this year. He's still seen 358 air yards for a 37 weighted opportunity rating. That's not bad. It's just he's not converting on some of these plays. Against the Eagles, that is where I'm going to start him again. Against the Jets, that's where I'm looking to start him again. I'm just saying, like, you're not going to get any. Okay, if you're shopping Josh Gordon, who is the first player that comes to your mind that you want to trade for?
I would probably say that's a good question. I mean, that's a good question.
Exactly. I'm fine putting him on the block and seeing what you can get, but he is not somebody that I think you should be aggressively trying to get off your roster. Stash him on the bench and look at his schedule going forward and say, you know what? Maybe this could be something. Maybe wait for a spike week and sell him after a spike week. Now is not the time to be selling him.
Still trying.
Maybe
I'm still trying to get rid of him and get whatever I can for him, no matter what. I mean, even if it's Ronald Jones for crying, like, I'm trying to get rid of him.
Ronald Jones played 16% of the snaps this week. He's as game script dependent as they come, man.
Hey,
if we want to talk about Ronald Jones, it makes me so sad because he's playing well.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Hey, so speaking of running backs, let's get to one that right now I'm a little upset about. Kerryon Johnson. You know, I had him pegged as a top 15 running back coming into the season. We looked at the workload, and especially when CJ Anderson got released, we looked at the workload and we were like, this is it, Chief. This is what we want. This is a guy that's going in the 4th and 5th round that we can steal as our RB2, and we can feel extremely good about the output that we're going to get because he might end up as an RB1 toward the end of the season. It's not looking like that. And I'm really upset about it. He is not involved in the passing game as much as I would like him to. He has only caught 9 passes, and I want to put that in
8% target share. 8% target share.
It's unbelievable. I want to put this in perspective for people. Devontae Freeman, 25 catches. Phillip Lindsay, 19. Chris Carson, 19. James Conner,
Royce Freeman has
26. Mark Ingram, 11. Aaron Jones, 23. Nick Chubb, 20. Royce Freeman, 21 pass catches. That is inexcusable to me. And you are probably the biggest anti-Matt, and I'm right there with you. I don't think Matt Patricia is a great coach. You don't like him even more than I do. You dislike him even more than I do. That right there,
Matt Patricia.
That right there about Matt pisses me off more than anything because the coaching staff should know this guy needs the football in his hands through the air, and it is infuriating that he is sitting right now at RB23 with the workload that he has and the opportunity that he has, and they have only given him, they have only gotten the ball in his hands 9 times through the air.
I'm with you on this in the sense that, like, I do think Kerryon Johnson needs more opportunities in space because of how this guy can kill defenses when he gets the ball with room to work. He's as elusive as they come. He had one of the best elusive ratings in football last year. The thing with running back targets for me is, statistically speaking, they can be negative EV. They're essentially just glorified rushing attempts. But for fantasy football, those catches are so important, especially on DraftKings, especially in a PPR league. So it's frustrating to me, but I don't know. You just said it right there. He's RB23 right now, and he was going as RB15. So he is not meeting expectations, but he is not killing your roster.
He's not.
He is not killing your lineup. So I honestly think let's just wait for some higher pace, up-tempo games. Well, a big problem with this is Detroit has been in every game they've played. Detroit has literally been in every game they played, and that makes it harder for running back targets to be at a premium. That makes it harder for these running backs to attract and command a high target share because the team doesn't have to throw as much. They don't have to play as much high tempo, and it's just easier to not target them. It's easier to take those shots downfield, especially with Darrell Bevell calling plays. He is making it a priority to target Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay downfield. Kenny Golladay specifically is like top 15 in weighted opportunities.
He's unbelievable. We're gonna be talking about him on the show in the next week or two.
So it's really hard for me to criticize the way the offense has been run just because of how well Kenny Galladay's been used, how well Matthew Stafford has been used, the way they're letting him air it out. They're letting Matthew Stafford do what he's good at. It's good for Kenny Golladay, it's good for Matthew Stafford, and it's fun to watch, and it's good for teams that are playing the Lions, but it's bad for Kerryon Johnson owners because that's why he's not getting his targets. But if you own Kerryon Johnson right now, I don't view him as a sell. He's still seen 87 carries. He's still 13th in the NFL in carries, and he's had his bye week. He hasn't been like grossly efficient either. He's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. So I do think there are better days coming for Kerryon Johnson.
Look, might be able to agree. I'm not in panic mode. I'm not selling. I think he's a firm hold. I think he's a great dynasty hold as well. The workload's there. The opportunity is there. They believe in him. They love the guy. So I like all that. But here's what's upsetting to me and what's kind of he's 20th in the league in yards on the ground. He's 23rd in the league in yards through the air with 126 receiving yards, which I just think it's a unforgivable sin.
Wait, he's got 9 catches for how many yards?
126.
That's like really efficient for a running back.
Well, it is. But again, I need more catches.
I agree with you.
I need more catches. And I think it may have been you that shared the stat from was it 4-on-4 football, I believe. He is getting 46% of the Lions touches. And that sounds amazing. He's getting 46% of the Lions touches, the 5th highest rate in the league, and that's a higher touch share than Zeke, Chris Carson, Alvin Kamara, and Dalvin Cook, which sounds really impressive on paper. But here's, to me, Mark, this to me is proof that we can sit here and we can throw out all these wonderful stats and these data points, but at the end of the day, it's putting lipstick on a pig because of all the reasons that we just talked about. While he's getting 46% of the Lions touches, he's not getting the ball through the air. He's RB23. He's not doing much on the ground. And that's really what's bothering me. It's not just the fact that Matt Patricia and the coaching staff don't seem to be targeting him as much as they should through the air. It's also the fact that even though they're giving Kerryon the touches, the rushes, like he's just not doing what we thought he was going to do with them. So it's not just the coaching staff that's driving me nuts. I'm kind of a little teed off at Kerryon Johnson.
Just because he hasn't been efficient on the ground. And I'm with that. I can get behind that. It's just, there's nothing we can do right now because you can't sell him. You're not going to get what he's worth, especially in a dynasty. He's probably a buy low in a dynasty. I think in a dynasty league, you're probably buying Kerryon Johnson low if you can. But there's nothing else we can do. He still has a ton of touchdown equity. He's still 13th in the NFL in carries, and they've had their bye week. So you still have to keep playing him. You still have to keep starting Kerryon Johnson. We need a ceiling game. We need a ceiling game where he sees 8 targets, gets in the end zone, and that's it. All he's missing is that receiving volume. He's got touchdown equity. We just need receiving volume.
Yep, 100%. Now, one of the guys that we want to move on to now, this is one of the teams that we thought, we said on the podcast a couple months back, there are 2 teams in the NFL who we believed were going to double their win total this year. That was the 49ers. Obviously, they are completing that task. They're going to, and the New York Jets. Now, the Jets are a better football team than what we've seen the last few weeks. And they showed it last week against Dallas. And I know everybody's like, "Oh, it's the Cowboys. Oh, they were a mirage." I get it, and I completely agree. Cowboys were a little bit of a mirage. However, Sam Darnold is back in the saddle. He missed the 3 games with mono. He is back, and man, he did not look. He looked like he got better. Like Sam Darnold, get mono more often if you can, because maybe not because you'll be missing games, but regardless,
maybe retract that statement, Chris.
You're probably right. Sorry, Sam. But regardless, he looked amazing. The offense looked like a well-oiled machine. Sam was throwing for 338 yards. He was completing 72% of his passes.
10.6 yards per attempt. Yeah, he was fantastic.
He was awesome. Yeah. Robbie Anderson was doing his thing. Jamison Crowder was doing Jamison Crowder things, and we all love to see that. Look, Chris Herndon's going to be back soon. They didn't have Chris Herndon. He was doing this. Chris Herndon, that does not need to go understated. Chris Herndon's coming back. That is an excellent target for him and a great safety blanket. So this is all good for Sam Darnold. I think the Jets' arrow is pointing up. I think Sam's arrow is pointing up. And look, the Cowboys, it seemed like they were game planning to stop Lev, and he only had 1 target and 50 rushing yards. So they were definitely game planning around him, and I think that's what helped allow Sam Darnold to have such a great game.
I am a little nervous that we're going to see Le'Veon Bell's target share decline with Sam Darnold on the field, only because Sam Darnold is going to be more inclined to push it downfield. Robbie Anderson absolutely crushed. 92 air yards. He had 125 in the touchdown. He had the 92-yard touchdown. this offense is just going to be infinitely better with Sam Darnold. We were all over Robbie Anderson in the Discord chat in DFS this week. We were all over Stephon Diggs too, man. It's just, it was a process thing with me, man. I had so much Amari Cooper, and that's why I lost. But that was just a good game to stack. It's just, I had Dak Prescott instead of Sam Darnold. But Chris, how do you feel about starting Sam Darnold going forward? I mean, do you think he's going to be like a matchup kind of thing? Or do you think as long as he's not playing an elite defense, like you're not starting him against the Patriots, but if he's not playing an elite defense, can we roll out Sam Darnold comfortably?
Look, I'm not going to start him. I don't feel comfortable having him in a 1 QB league. But if I have him in a Superflex or a 2 QB league, I'm absolutely rolling him out, and I feel pretty damn good about it. Look, he plays he's getting ready to go up against New England. That's not good. Okay, he's getting ready to go up against New England this week. So
yeah, you're not starting him against the New England Patriots. Don't do it.
So stay away. But after that, he is playing in Week 8 a now Jalen Ramsey-less Jacksonville Jaguars team. He's playing Miami. He's playing the Giants. He's playing Washington, and he's playing Oakland, and he's playing Cincinnati, and he's playing Miami, and he's playing Baltimore again. That's
Robbie Anderson.
That is his Week 8 schedule through Week 15. Like, this is going to be a
Robbie
guy.
Anderson season.
Sam Darnold is legitimately. Remember how last year you and I we did a show. We were on the Fantasy Takeaway with our buddies over there, Murph and Joe, and we told them that we both loved Josh Allen as that quarterback that really nobody really saw coming as that was going to be a league winner, and boy was he ever. That's Sam Darnold this year.
He was like QB2 over the last 5 weeks.
That's Sam Darnold.
I think with this schedule, him and Robbie Anderson might be the league winner here. He might be the guy you want to go try and buy. It's hard to do. It's hard to buy a guy like him after a spike week, but he might be the guy you want to go and buy. Sam Darnold's on your waiver wire. So if you are one of those people that had Baker Mayfield like I did in so many spots, drop Baker Mayfield and go get Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and look, like I said, we looked at the schedule. He plays Miami twice. He plays Washington, the Giants, Oakland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Baltimore sounds scary. And I know they just got Marcus Peters for whatever that's worth. But Marcus Peters hasn't been great. He's not.
He's been good this year. He's been better this year than he was last year. He's been a lot better this year, actually. But that defense is still exposed.
Exactly.
That defense they're still allowing like 6.8 yards per play. It probably went down after the Bengals game, but that defense is not
right.
good.
And that's Week 15. So that's championship week for most leagues. So at least to get you to the playoffs. If you're like maybe you got Russell Wilson, maybe he gets hurt or something. If you've got Sam Darnold as a backup, this is going to be a guy that you could absolutely ride to the playoffs and maybe even win your league. I don't think he's going to be QB2 or during the fantasy playoffs and down the stretch like Josh Allen was. But what I'm saying is he's going to be that type of quarterback where a lot of people don't realize that he is going to be more than likely a guy that's going to win you playoff games in fantasy or win you your league. So
listen, we can't trust Kirk Cousins week to week. Cam Newton is dead. Mitchell Trubisky is hurt. Can't trust Jameis Winston week to week. Yep. There has been such a big problem at quarterback this year. You can't trust Jimmy Garoppolo week to week. Phillip Rivers is hardly a viable fantasy starter now. Drew Brees is dead. He's coming back soon, but he's still injured. What else do we have?
Jared Goff. You really can't trust Goff.
Oh, you can't start Jared Goff. You're starting him this week against Atlanta, but you can't start him against like a top 12 or top 15 pass rush. That offensive line will get murdered. Ben Roethlisberger, dead. Now Mason Rudolph, dead.
You know what? I'm going to throw another name in there, Mark. I'm going to throw in Gardner Minshew. For the rest of the season, give me Sam Darnold over Gardner Minshew.
I'll take Sam Darnold over Gardner Minshew all day. Gardner Minshew has not, he's been consistent, but he has no ceiling. His ceiling is like 17 fantasy points. I'll take Sam Darnold over Gardner Minshew any day.
100%. Look, this is a team that is. I think we're going to see the Jets do. They've got a lot of winnable games on this schedule on paper.
Here's one for you. Rest of season: Brandon Cooks or Robbie Anderson.
Oh man, I'm I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks, but let me go on the record.
You're a coward.
I don't feel good about it.
You're a coward. I'll take Robbie Anderson, man. The problem with Brandon Cooks here is his ADOT is too high. That's his role in this offense. Jared Goff does not have enough time for his routes to develop. I think this coming week is a Brandon Cooks week, and I'm playing him in DFS tournaments, but I am very uncomfortable with my Brandon Cooks shares.
Screw it. Give me Robbie Anderson. Every league, when we get off this show, every league that I have Brandon Cooks in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to go get Robbie Anderson straight up for him. I'm with you. I've changed. You got me. I'm Robbie Anderson.
Straight up is hard to do, but hard to do in the sense that I would feel dirty about it. But I think after this week, assuming Brandon Cooks has a spike week, I'm going to try and sell.
I think he's got a better ceiling too.
I'm done. I don't. Maybe Robbie Anderson's ceiling is really high. That's kind of where I'm at. I think Robbie Anderson, with this schedule he has coming up, that he could be the league winner right there. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm very confident in him and Sam Darnold going forward.
Guys, hey, it's been a great show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. It is time, though, to kick it over on to the producer man for everybody's favorite segment. Producer man, what did we get wrong today? I think we had a great show. What did we get wrong, though, if anything?
Super clean episode this time, guys. Just a couple of notes. First up, Gardner Minshew scored 21.16 points in week 5. That was just a couple of weeks ago, so his ceiling's a little higher than 17. And Chris, you mentioned Kerryon Johnson as a 5th-round pick. His ADP was actually 28, so I doubt many people were getting him in the 4th, let alone the 5th. Other than that, great show, gentlemen. Awesome stuff, guys.
We love you, producer man. Thank you so much for that. Guys.
Yeah, Chris loves you. I don't have strong feelings towards you. I'm still upset with you.
I have to stay on in the good graces of the producer man here. But guys,
kiss ass.
Hey, we thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hey, listen, we want to remind you guys again, we have a Patreon now. So if you want to support the RotoBros podcast, you want to support Mark and I, you want to get even more great content, let me tell you all the stuff that you're going to get out of this. You are going to get Mark's weekly DFS podcast. You are going to get exclusive access to the Discord chat that you hear us talking about several times in this episode. You get to hang out and talk with us in that Discord chat, talk with other patrons as well. And then you are coming up very shortly. You are definitely going to get you're going to get Dynasty podcast, NFL draft podcast, definitely in the off season for me. I will have scouting briefs. If you're an FSA as well, you're familiar with some of my scouting briefs on some of the incoming rookie class. So you're going to get that as well. We're going to give you a lot of great content through the season, during the off season, and it's $5 a month. That's it. It's $5, and you're going to get a lot of content. So 365 days a year, the RotoBros are going to be there for you. We're going to definitely try to help you guys out in DFS and season long and Dynasty and in any format, really. So it's definitely something that you guys want to check out. And of course, Mark's got a lot of other great content as well over there at the Quan Edge that he'll dive into here in just a second. So guys, definitely check that out. It'll definitely be worth your time. You'll have a blast. It's a really good time. And we have a lot of fun in the Discord chat. We have a season-long chat, and we have one dedicated to DFS as well. So it's a blast. So definitely check that out as well. Hit us up for more information on that if you desire. Guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Mark, before we go, tell the folks where they can find you.
Look, I'll tell you where you can find me in a minute, but we need more people in the Discord. We need more people in the Patreon, because pretty soon, if we don't get more subscribers, me and Chris are going to have to start an OnlyFans account. And if you don't know the difference between OnlyFans and Patreon, I suggest you look it up, because it ain't going to be pretty. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mark Wemken. That's MarkWemken. You're also going to find me on the quantedge.com every week, every Tuesday. That's tonight. Snaps and targets report, guys. It's free to the public, and it's the most important piece that I put out every single week, so you don't want to miss it. There is a data nugget on Mark Ingram that I don't think anybody that plays fantasy football or DFS is going to want to miss.
It's a good one.
So make sure you check out my snaps and targets report. Like I said, it's free. You have nothing to lose and a lot to gain from it. Every Thursday, Injury Impact Report. That's another good piece, but that's for subscribers only. And then I'm also going to be breaking down the 4 p.m. slate every Saturday in an article, so make sure you're checking that out. Again, quantedge.com, guys.
Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Mind of McConnell. You can also find me and Mark, because it is the home of the RotoBros Fantasy Football Podcast. That is on Facebook at FSA Fantasy Sports Advice and Analysis. Go to Facebook, type in FSA Fantasy. You will join, and you'll be part of the largest, most active fantasy sports community on the planet. It is a blast. We have a lot of fun. So definitely check that out as well. Mark, before we go, I want you to tell me, because look, we're close to Halloween time here. We compared some players to candy the other night. What type of candy are you looking forward to getting for Halloween?
Candy, I'm not a big candy guy, but I'm a big horror movie guy. And I will say this. You went and compared players to candy. I want to compare players to horror films.
Oh, there we go.
You kind of put me on the spot here, but I think if we had to compare players to horror films, we've got Christian McCaffrey. He's Halloween 1978, man. The classic, one of the original slasher films, arguably the best slasher film ever made. We've got Chris Godwin. He's the new guy. He's Halloween 2018, man.
Ooh.
He's the new one who's amazing.
I like
Fantastic. 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Chris Godwin is leading the league in receiving yards right now. So that's what I've got for you. I think I'm going to make a thread out of this. This sounds fun. But I think I'm going to do that because I've got so many horror movies. Dude, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. If you enjoy horror movies, hit me up, man. Hit me up. Let's talk horror because I am a horror movie nerd.
And if you
hit me up. If
you enjoy Halloween candy, tweet at me. Let's talk about some Halloween candy.
Dude, if you enjoy being a virgin, hit Chris up because Chris is a virgin too. You guys will have a lot to talk about.
Kids, of course. Guys, hey, it's been a blast. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us for the last hour or so. It's been a blast as always. We love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Hey, you guys know the drill by now. Enjoy the week 7 games. Best of luck to you guys in season long and DFS. And as always, keep balling, baby.